in the way the season ended. Bruce Arians on the Adam Schefter podcast offered his opinion.
So what is your assessment of what's going on there with your experience with Antonio and the Steelers from afar?
From afar, it's just too much miscommunication, too much diva. I just don't. I've heard so many stories, and I like Antonio. He plays as hard as anybody on Sunday, and he practices hard. They just got to make better decisions off the field, be on time, do some of those little things.
All right, here is the Twitter response from Antonio Brown. He didn't draft me, he being Bruce Arians. He drafted Emmanuel Sanders, same guy who missed rehab to go on networks to talk about me on a situation he has zero clue. Arians now wears Kangoo hats, I guess he's not a fan, and glasses, but I'm a diva. You heard. Done, seen it all, then they say we friends, stop lying. Okay, so now we hear from Emmanuel Sanders. You know damn well I didn't travel to L.A. to talk about you, fam. You tripping, yo. I went to be an analyst in which you acting foolish was the topic, and I gave my analytical opinion. Get off the gas.
Go ahead, Wendy. Get off the gas, yo.
Get off the gas, yo. You did it to yourself. I'm sorry. It just,
Yo, you almost made it.
I did.
Yeah.
It was your fault. You guys' fault.
Just get through the tweet, yo.
Yo, I know. Do my job, yo. All right, listen.
Yo.
You can't make this stuff up.
Good.
And by the way, lion, it took me like 2 hours. I thought it was lean. I could not figure that one out. But clearly, I'm not with it. Shefty, what's the latest here? Yo.
Yo, listen, everybody's waiting to see what happens with Antonio Brown, one of the central storylines of the offseason, and the fact that Art Rooney has come out and said it's hard to envision, his words, not anybody else's, hard to envision Antonio Brown returning to Pittsburgh. That tells you that they're going to look to try to trade him. Now, it doesn't mean that all doors are closed on Antonio Brown coming back to Pittsburgh, and maybe cooler heads will prevail, and at some point in time, they won't find the trade value they want, or each side will feel different. But right now, hey, it's fair to say that signs point to the Steelers looking to deal Antonio Brown and him being elsewhere in 2019, yo.
Well, it's interesting because, Josina Anderson was here yesterday, Teddy, and made the point that you just can't rule anything out. Should he being Antonio Brown, sort of have a change of heart, have a mea culpa, say, you know what, my bad. But here's the thing. There's been no indication whatsoever that that's his intention or anything he's willing to do at this point, which makes it hard to see these two sides reunite.
Right. You're seeing the ownership make comments, and that's usually a rarity also. I mean, especially when you're talking Roonies and you're talking players and you're talking their situation. So this is different for me. Yes, it can go anywhere from here. I understand this, but the way I'm seeing it right now, I mean, Antonio Brown's a good player. Let's put that out there, okay?
Yes.
He's a great player. Yes. And if I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler player, I've said this before, I wanted to make the playoffs. Yes, I wanted to. I wanted to be in this tournament, but a part of me just wanted to get away and say, man, coach, you guys got to fix this, because all these teams that are left, you'll see them in their press conferences. They're preaching locker room. They're preaching togetherness. They're preaching all of the brotherhood. I sense none of that coming out of Pittsburgh a lot this year. It was all about drama. It was about Bell dominated it, then Brown dominated, and now we're still going in the offseason here. They got to fix that culture.
Yeah. That's true. It started, really, and it hasn't stopped.
No.
The issues, if you will.
No, and we keep on throwing fire on it. I mean, AB keeps on throwing fire by just clapping back on Twitter and being out there. Listen, I think it's about Drew Rosenhaus, his representation, Robert Bailey, another part of his representation, getting in a closed room with Rooney, with Tomlin, and saying, hey, look, let's figure this thing out.
Because they want to.
Yeah, but at some point.
It doesn't seem like they do.
At some point, it's going to happen, because I don't think they're going to make, the Steelers are not going to make an emotional decision. They're going to sit back and wait and then let things die down and then make a decision. I don't think this is going to be a situation where we're going to see Antonio Brown just get traded off the whim. I think there's got to be a meeting between the minds here.
Let me ask you this question. And again, we're just wondering aloud. Could this be premeditated on Antonio Brown's part? Could it be to try to get his way out of there so he could go someplace else where he would be more apt to land a new contract?
I mean,
have you ever seen a player do anything like that to try to force his way out of a certain situation
I just don't see the fact of Antonio. I think there's been some animosity for years, whether it be with Ben Roethlisberger or whoever it is on that football team. I can see the animosity in that aspect, but I can't see Antonio Brown looking at this and saying the grass is greener on the other side. Because he knows how successful, but he's been such a success with Ben Roethlisberger being his quarterback at the same time. I don't think it's him trying to force
business booming.
He's about business booming. You're right about that, but I just don't see him trying to force his way out of Pittsburgh.
I've got to put on another hat here. If I'm a team that's thinking about having Antonio Brown, this is a big personality you're bringing in, coming from an organization in the Pittsburgh Steelers that has a potential future Hall of Fame quarterback that had a high-powered offense in which he got a lot of targets. What happened? What happened to where you want out of there? You don't even want to talk to the Rooneys. You don't even want to go in there, and all you want is a new contract. How long is that going to last?
If he wants a new contract, I'm saying, could that be driving? I don't know that he does.
And even when you sign a player like this, there's always a shelf life. A shelf life, I say shelf life by meaning you're going to be on the team, you got what you want, everything's good, but all of a sudden it expires. And all of a sudden you have this same situation that the Pittsburgh Steelers have had to deal with. Teams have to consider this when you talk about Antonio Brown, because how much is culture important to your general manager? How much is important to your owner? Because this is clearly a player right now. Culture is not important. Social media is important. Money is important. Me is important. We've seen this before. We've seen it before with wide receivers and how this goes downhill in certain places, and they go from place to place to place.
True.
Culture is a huge thing right now in the National Football League. I'll just say that.
Well, to be continued, because it does not appear, to your point, that Antonio Brown wants to let it go. You know, we keep seeing responses. We will continue to see those, is my guess. All right, listen, let's switch gears here. Jaguars head coach Doug Marrone said he's spoken to Leonard Fournette and that the running back appears to be in a really good place. What do you hear about his future there?
That's an encouraging sign, the fact that he would say that. And if nothing else, maybe he is just propping up his trade value. Again, we don't know that. They had a good meeting. I think that towards the end of the year, both sides were sort of done with each other. I think Jacksonville would have been happy to move on from Leonard Fournette, and Leonard Fournette would have been happy to move on from Jacksonville. And so at least they're meeting to try to make things better, as I would expect the Steelers and Antonio Brown would do at some point in time. And we'll see whether they can come out of there with the team saying that they feel good about where Antonio Brown is at. Maybe they get there, maybe they don't, but the Jaguars have gotten there with Leonard Fournette. Doesn't mean that they don't look to deal in this offseason. We'll see if they do. We'll find that out. But again, they're trying to take steps in a positive direction at this time.
All right, hypothetical, right? Because we can do that. We have a few minutes. And since that's a team that could need a quarterback, would you trade a Fournette or maybe Jalen Ramsey, let's say, for a guy like Nick Foles?
The one positive thing when I'm talking about Nick Foles, okay, as a quarterback, for me, it's not Nick Foles. It's Nick Foles and Doug Peterson. It's that philosophy. It's that offense, all right? It's the scheme, all right? Something was magical about it. Is there a piece of it there? Okay, DeFilippo was hired as the offensive coordinator in Jacksonville. DeFilippo is the former quarterbacks coach when they won a world championships in Philadelphia. There's the connection. So, do you feel like you can get that Nick Foles to Jacksonville? If you think that's the possibility, it is the quarterback position, and you've got to consider everything. I'll say that. That's how important it is to have success.
Fournette's on the table.
Yeah.
He's on the table. I mean, that would be absolutely, absolutely. I'm not trading. Jalen Ramsey is not in the equation at all. He's out. He's staying with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Don't call me back.
His future is there. We're not having that conversation. Okay. But with Fournette, just due to the fact that he's missed so many games, and you're still not sure what you get week in and week out. If Nick Foles is on the table, you know you need a quarterback. Absolutely, Fournette is one guy out there, and some draft picks, because I do feel like put DeFilippo there, and just like you said, Teddy, there's a history between the two, and they've been successful with Nick Foles and DeFilippo. I would definitely look at that.
The question is, though, it takes two to tango, so you have to ask yourself, would that be worth it for the Eagles? You know, is that something?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? You can't.
Listen,
that's a whole different
season.
That's a whole different discussion if we're talking about Nick Foles in Philadelphia.
After a season like Jacksonville just had, I would say they might be open to dealing anybody, listening on anybody at that point in time, because last season went awry, and so they've got to find a quarterback, and if somebody wants some player, I think you listen on just about anybody right now, if you're Jacksonville.
All right, we got plenty. When's the draft? April
25th.
25th. We got plenty of time.
Great day.
Great day.
Great day.
Well, we got a lot of trade talk
birthday?
between now and then. Is that your birthday?
That's a great day.
Oh, all right. The world gave us Darren Woodson on it.
how
On the
old you gonna be,
25th.
too.
Hey, man, watch his mouth.
And the divisional
Watch out now,
round-
bro. Watch out now.
I know.
Why you gotta say that, man? Why you gotta bring that up?
The divisional round gave us several incredible rushing performances. We'll talk about the team that most needs their run game.
They got a chance to win this with a